How do you mend a broken heart? That was the documentary I was watching today. Bee Gees, that's one of their hit songs. How do you mend a broken heart? Recently, there was a documentary released about their life, their journey, their success. And that was something I was watching and meditating on today and picking out different aspects about their story, their experiences that it could be applied to my life and to my business. This is Jerry Franklin Poe coming back at you again with another episode of the 31 Days of Sharing Reluctant Success Family. Holler at me if you're out there, comment, and let me know if you're with me, following along. Let me know where you are, where you're from. Let me know what have been some of the ideas or what has been some of the tips you picked up over the last 2 weeks. This has been a full 2 weeks of sharing twice a day, 11 a.m. and 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I watch a lot of documentaries. One of my things I like to do, movies. Right, I like books. I listen to a lot of audio books. I like to watch a lot of movies and I watch a lot of documentaries. And when I watch these things, I'm always pulling out different parts that I think apply to life and apply to business. So today I was watching this documentary about the Bee Gees, and this group, I'm sure you've heard of them, you've listened to at least one of their songs, but you may not know that their success started way before the disco era. The Bee Gees were a extremely popular group back in the late 60s. They had hit songs in the 60s, in the 70s, and then in the late 70s with the movie Saturday Night Fever, they hit like a pinnacle. Their success was at the top, the peak. But their journey is interesting because in our society, it's so fascinating that sometimes people get built up so high. We build people up so high that the only other thing that can happen to them is we start tearing them down. So there was a backlash to the Bee Gees in around, I think, 1979, around that time period, where people were just tired of disco. They had so much music that was on the radio that sounded the same. Disco became commercialized, so there was a lot of people who were just trying to maximize on the craze, and they started to put out disco records or songs that weren't as good as the other ones that had been out a few years ago. So around 1979, I think that's when it happened, they had this backlash against the Bee Gees, and they went from 1 week where on the radio, like out of 10 songs, 4 to 5 songs were the Bee Gees every day. But now the next week, no one wanted to hear anything from them. They were at the top of the food chain. They were at the top of the chart. And then within a matter of a week, no one wanted to play their songs. No one wanted to play their records. No one wanted to hear anything from them. And I found this fascinating because if you're a business owner, an entrepreneur, one of the things that we need to do is maintain a consistent revenue stream, maintain a consistent client base, maintain a flow within our business. And here we have an example of artists who were making money and then everything that they were doing kind of got shut off. But there was a thing that the backlash couldn't take away from them. And what the backlash couldn't take away from them was their ability to write songs. And I thought about this, that here we had this group who felt that the world had basically taken everything away from them, that now they were entering into the 1980s and no one wanted to hear from them at all. And they thought their careers were over. But what saved them is other artists coming to the Bee Gees to say, can you write a song for me? They had written so many hit songs before for themselves as a group, but they had also written hit songs for their younger brother, Andy Gibb. So you have Barry, you have Maurice and Robin. Those three brothers made up the Bee Gees, those three. But then they had a younger brother named Andy. So they were writing songs for themselves, writing songs for their brother. But now you have other artists who are coming to them and say, hey, you wrote all these hit songs for yourself. Can you write a hit song for me? So when I saw this, I saw Barbra Streisand had called them. It was Dionne Warwick, Celine Dion. All these people had called the Bee Gees like, can you write a song for me? And they were pumping out these hit songs for other people. So I'm thinking to myself, I'm watching this, I'm thinking to myself, this is so key to business owners, that one of the things that entrepreneurs need to do is you have to be clear on your core competency. What is the one thing that you can do better than anything else or anyone else? Like, what is the one thing that you are really great at? And they were able, they took away their ability to make money by doing their own music. They took away their ability to make money by doing live shows, but they couldn't take away the ability for them to write songs for other people, because that's something they could just do and no one had to know it was them writing it. Like, it wasn't like people saw Bee Gees and when they saw Barbara Streisand on the album cover, they might have, looked at the back and saw their name, but they had already bought the album or whatever it might be. So I had to think to myself and start to think to myself, okay, what is it am I good at? Like, what do I do better than anybody else? And these are things I'm thinking about when I'm watching these documentaries. Like, I get these ideas, and I thought, well, I probably should share this out with folks because they may not be watching the same documentaries. They may not know or think about these type of questions. So what we need to be clear is the core competency or the talent or the gift. There's some skill that we all have that we can do better than other folks. And when we get distracted by some of the other things that we are good at, there's certain things that we are great at and there are things that we are good at. And sometimes we get caught up in the stuff that we're good at and we don't always focus on the things that we are great at. And the things that you are great, those are the things that are going to keep you the longevity, right? The Bee Gees were able to maintain longevity. You think about this group. One of the things that Barry said is that their music didn't have a category. They had put out R&B records, they had put out pop records, they had put out disco records, but their music didn't have a category. So they were able to sustain themselves, to have this longevity from the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, because their songwriting kept them in the game until people got over the disco backlash. And then they came out, in the late 90s and had a resurgence and they were back on tour again. But what kept them going and kept them connected and kept them in the game was relying on this core thing. And I didn't realize the Bee Gees had created all these songs for other people. Like, as many times as I've heard, Islands in the Stream by Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton, as many times have I heard that song, even when, like, I think it was Wyclef Jean sampled that for the movie, what was it? Bulworth. I think they sampled that song. They took part of Islands in the Stream for one. They sampled that, right? So I heard the sample. I heard the original song. Great song. But did I know that the Bee Gees wrote Islands in the Stream that Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton sang? No, I had no idea. I had no idea. But here we have this group. They wrote over 1,000. They wrote 1,000 songs. 1,000 songs in their career. 1,000 songs. And out of those 1,000 songs, 20 were number one hits. Now, they had a whole bunch of hits. Like, you could be in the top 10, the top 100, or whatever. But out of their songs, they had 20 songs that had hit the number one spot in the chart. Number one, number one, number one. And it was all coming back to the fact that they relied on this one key thing that they were good at. And the one key thing they were good at as a team, the brothers, as a team, the three brothers were good at working together to write songs. And it didn't matter if they wrote songs for themselves or wrote songs for other people. They were still able to keep themselves in the game. So today or this evening or whatever time you're watching this, I want you to think to yourself and ask yourself, are you truly clear on your greatness when it comes to your business, when it comes to your career, when it comes to you living a life as an entrepreneur? Are you clear? Are you completely clear on the things that you are good at versus the things where you are great? Because distinguishing the two, see, the things that we're good at, sometimes we can get other people to help in those areas because we may not be great at them. So you can always hire someone or, or get someone to assist you there. But where your greatness where your greatness lies, those are the areas you want to spend the most of your time, because those are the areas that are going to be most productive and profitable for you. And when it comes to developing revenue, having a revenue mindset, if you want to develop a revenue mindset, then the key is to focus on the areas of your greatness. That's key. So when I think about the Bee Gees and their success and how they were reluctantly successful because they didn't want to just be songwriters. That's not why they really got in the game. They found their career as songwriters by having the backlash. If they didn't have the backlash, they wouldn't have been writing songs for other people, right? So it wasn't like they were just eager to volunteer. Let me write songs for Barbra Streisand or some other people. That came as a byproduct of the industry turning against them. So sometimes in life, you're going to have a setback. And that setback, that knockdown, that thing that knocks you off your target or knocks you off track is going to be the catalyst to help you focus in on the things that you were really great at. And you think about this time that we're going through with this crisis, these challenges. Some of us are dealing with challenges in our business right now, challenges in our lives because of this pandemic. And with these moments here that we're going through, these tough times can be used to help us focus on what are the things that are most important to our business. What are the things that are most important to helping us getting to where we really want to be in terms of our greatness when it comes to our talent and our skill set. So I'm going to leave you with that question. What are you great at? Where does your greatness lie? In what skill, what gift, what talent do you have that separates you or positions you in a different way than other people? What are some things that you can do? And a lot of it, this is something that I'm guilty of myself. A lot of the things that where our greatness lies, a lot of the areas where we're great are things that we take for granted, things that we don't realize they're great because they just are so easy for us. They're things that just naturally easy for you to do, but they're not easy for other people. And because it's easy for you, you don't think of it as being special. And it's when we take a step back and look at what we do as an observer and try to say, okay, well, how easy is this for me to do compared to other people? Or is this something that can solve a problem for somebody else that they could be struggling with, but it's just like second nature for me? Some of the things that are second nature for us are the solution to someone else's problem. So when you think about your greatness, your uniqueness, the thing that you excel in, it could be something that you don't value as much as someone else values. And when you really understand how other people will value it, that's the key to your success in terms of developing the revenue in your business. Is that understanding that there's a certain value that you bring to the marketplace and the marketplace is missing it. But because it's ours, we don't always value the things that belong to us as much because it's so common to us. You see it all the time. So you don't think of it as special because, it's just you being you. And sometimes the thing that you're just so good at, that's the thing that other people are willing to invest in to help them because they don't have that same level of talent, skill, greatness. So when these other artists, they could sing, like Barbra Streisand could sing, and Kenny Rogers, we know Dolly Parton, Dionne Warwick, all these people could sing, but they're like, I need you to crank me out a hit record. And that's what kept the Bee Gees in the game. So there's something that you may be sitting on. There's something that you may be kept putting on the shelf, or you don't think of it as being special, that could be a key item or solution. It could be a key nugget or key asset to your business life that other people are waiting for you to just share it with them. And when I say share it with them, I mean articulate that value in the marketplace. That's the key. If people don't know what thing that you have that solves the problem, then they cannot take advantage of it. So my thought for you this evening as we start our week is to think about the thing that you're great. Think about where your greatness lies. That's a better way to say it. Where does your greatness lie? And understanding that your greatness is the key to your longevity. Like the Bee Gees, if you haven't seen this documentary, go look it up, check it out. But that was something I was thinking about as I was watching this, is that they were able to maintain their relevance, so to speak, in the business of the music industry, because they were able to rely on this one key thing, which is their ability to write hit songs. Even though they couldn't sing the songs anymore, by writing the hits, they were able to stay in the business. So what is your greatness that's going to keep you in the business? So until next time, my friends, stay in the game by understanding your key greatness